Hello, and welcome to Connecting You to You Radio, where we tune in to receive the messages of health and well being that are being broadcast from the soul. I'm your host, Lisa Warner, author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. I show you how to heal your body naturally by combining your body's innate intelligence with the wisdom of your own soul, so that you can break through the mental programming of limiting beliefs that cause disease and make healing your body and changing your life simple. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another Lunch with Lisa. I'm Lisa Warner. I'm the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. It's a book I wrote after I healed myself from cancer without using the medical model. And how I healed myself was unconventional. I did not go the conventional route. So the route that I took was very different than pretty much anybody I've heard speaking about how they healed. When I was a very little girl, I would go to sleep at night and I would be part of this incredible unified field of love and light. And this space was infinite. This space, there was no other in this space. It was just me. Yet clearly I was not alone in this space. This space was filled with light, and it was filled with love, living love, living light. This space was filled with the essence of life itself. And it was very clear to me in that experience that that space is what humans call God. It was clear that God had been created in the image of humans on this planet. But we are literally created in the likeness and image of God. It's not that God looks like a physical being. God is not a being. God is beingness itself. And this is just simply from my direct experience. And from that space, when I was 2 years old, I could look at Earth from that space and I could see that Earth and humanity were no longer in that space of unconditional love. It was clear to me that unconditional love did not exist on this planet other than from pets. And even though I knew my parents loved me, I knew that that love was limited, that it was conditional, that as soon as I did something they didn't approve of, I would get in trouble. And I knew that that was not the essence of love, because from the space of unconditional love, I could see that everything is simply an experience, not a good experience or a bad experience, simply an experience. And this is why they say God is love. There is no judgment. There is no punishment in unconditional love. And as a 2-year-old, when I looked at the earth and I saw that humans were fighting and that they were being taught that those people over there are enemies, or those people with that belief system, those are enemies, this religion versus that religion, this political party versus that political party, this economic status versus another economic status. I could see all of the division, all of the separation, all of the fighting. I could see that humans were suffering. I could see disease was running rampant on the planet. And it was really scary. I could also see that humans were To me, it looked like zombies. It looked like they were walking around with amnesia, vacant beings without a soul, without any recognition of their own divinity and the brilliance of who they actually are. And it was very, very upsetting and quite terrifying to me as a 2 year old, because I also could see that those who had come before me, who were trying to teach people and help people remember the space of oneness, help people remember their own divinity, which is where their power lies, to help people remember their ability to heal themselves. Those people had been met with very unsavory endings. They had been nailed to crosses and burned at stakes and dunked as witches, beheaded, all kinds of really unsavory endings they were made examples of. Whole tribes of humans were exterminated from the planet because they were connected to Mother Nature. They were connected to ways of living that didn't require money. Look at what happened to all across North America, the Americas, with tribes of indigenous beings slaughtered. There has been a darkness on this planet for a very long time that has been actively separating us from our divinity. It has been actively keeping us in the dark, not knowing the powers that we actually possess. So for a very long time, I thought I needed to do the right thing and try to fit in so I wouldn't stand out because I felt that if I stood out like others had before me, that I too might be slaughtered. And that didn't really feel good to a 2 or 3 year old who was just barely getting started with living in this body. So I tried fitting in. I tried doing the right thing. I tried following the rules. I tried making money. I tried to, live the way we're taught that we have to live on this planet. And it didn't work for me at all in any way, shape, or form. I was not living, I was just barely surviving. I was not thriving. I was not happy. I was depressed. I was stressed over money all the time, feeling like I didn't fit in. I wasn't finding other people who knew any of the things that I knew. I couldn't find like-souled beings for a long time. And finally, I found myself facing cancer. And I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that the only reason I was facing this cancer thing was because I was so unhappy. I was so stressed and depressed. I knew that if I wasn't all stressed and depressed, that this wouldn't be happening in my physical body. It was clear to me. And it was also clear to me that my route to healing was not the medical route, because the medical route was not going to help me to get less stressed and depressed. It was only going to add to my confusion. Having treatments was not going to be helping me. I could see that clearly, that it wasn't going to get to the root of the problem, because my problem wasn't a physical problem. My problem was a spiritual problem. It was that I was disconnected from the truth of who I am. So my path to healing was to go back into what I knew when I was 2. It was to reconnect myself to the oneness. It was to get myself back into the light and the love of Source, where we are always loved, we are always safe, we are always protected. And there is never anything wrong with us, ever. As the divine souls we were created to be, there is nothing wrong with us. So my route to healing was to bring myself back into the truth of who I am as a grand being of light, just as you are. I'm not special, I'm not different. We are all grand beings of light who have been tricked by the darkness, coerced into believing that we're mere mortals, that we're sinners, that we're unworthy, that we have to follow the rules or we'll get in trouble, that we have to fight for our rights, that we have to battle diseases in our bodies. And all we're battling is our own bodies. Right now, I'm recording this on the day after the election day in the United States, where people were divided. Best friends got divided. Everybody, this camp or that camp. And if you voted for the wrong person, get off my page. I don't want you anymore. Get out of my life. Don't ever talk to me again. This is what's going on. More and more division, which is dividing us even further from source, even further from the truth of who we are as grand beings of light that come from the space of unconditional love. The oneness is where we all originate. It is the core essence of who we are. It is literally what we are made of. And when we come to Earth, we forget where we come from and what we're made of. We forget the truth of who we are. And when we don't know the truth of who we are easily manipulated. We are easily tricked. We are easily persuaded, coerced, cajoled. And it doesn't feel good. Something inside starts to just feel uncomfortable. We don't feel right. We know something's wrong, but we're not really sure what it is. And we're told that we need to listen to the experts, to the authorities, because the authorities, they know what's what. Whether it's the government or doctors or preachers or teachers or attorneys. Go to the experts, ask the experts, because they have all the answers. Well, from my own personal experience, with my own healing journey, I found far better answers than the ones that the current experts are touting. I found that my body was able to heal itself, but I had to bring myself back into alignment with the truth of who I am. I had to heal myself first before my body could heal itself. I had to bring myself back into the oneness so I could start to remember who I am and the power that I have. I started as I brought myself back into the oneness. It was far easier to see the two-ness, the duality that is playing out on this planet. It separates right from wrong, good from bad, left from right, dark from light. this religion, from that religion. The duality, we are taught duality. That either you're right or you're wrong. The duality divides us inside. The duality between human and divine. We are both. There is no duality. The wholeness of who we are both human in physical form and divine. We are souls incarnate in physical bodies. We are not these physical bodies. We are not physical beings. We are non-physical beings. And in order to heal all of the problems on this planet, we will have to return to the oneness. We will have to start recognizing the truth of who we are and the power that we have to live in peace and harmony with the planet and with each other. Right now, we are actively, as humans, we are actively killing the planet. We are poisoning the air, the waters, the earth, the soil, the animals, the insects. We are killing off all life on this planet, including ourselves. And this has to stop. Because it's time for us to remember who we are. It's time for the healing to happen. And the healing happens in the oneness. Are you ready to walk yourself back into the oneness? Are you ready to make yourself whole once more? Are you ready to mend the fragmented self? All the parts and pieces of you that have been traumatized by the external world. All of the times you have been told you've been wrong, that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not wealthy enough or pretty enough or whatever it is, or you're too much. All of those wounds need to be healed, because all of those wounds are like knife wounds to our light body, to our soul. They cut us, they fragment us, they break us into pieces. And when we get broken into pieces inside, our bodies cannot function in radiant health, because we're not in radiant health. The answers are not going to come from a pill. They're not going to come from some treatment. They're not going to come from some politician. They're not going to come from some religious figure. They're going to come from you. You are the one incarnate. You have all the answers inside you. We are all part of the oneness, and we all have access to all the answers. But we must be willing to go back into the oneness in order to recognize the truth of who we are and the power we have to heal ourselves. The power we have to actually thrive in peace and harmony with all life on this planet. Are you willing to go into the oneness. And you may be asking, well, how do I do that? I don't even know how to do that. Well, this is where people like me, this is where I come in. I help guide my clients back into the oneness. I have a monthly membership, a guided journey membership, where you get 4 guided meditations each month to guide you back into the oneness, guide you back into yourself, to help you remember who you are. It's very simple. It's not complicated. It's actually natural because it's who you are. But you have to be willing to look. You have to be willing to look for the rest of who you are. Not what you see in the mirror, not who you see in the mirror, not who you see as compared to everybody else, not who you see in your checkbook, reflected in your checkbook, reflected in the people around you, but who you truly are, the grand being of light, the divine soul, created from the all that is. Are you willing to see the rest of who you are? Are you willing to see the non-physical self that has never left the oneness? Are you ready to step away from the two-ness? Are you ready to step away from this false matrix society that has been set up to entrap us, to make us follow somebody else's rules that make no sense, that have us suffering, that have us believing there's something wrong with our bodies, when the fact of the matter is our bodies are literally trying to help us survive. Whatever our bodies are doing, they're doing it on purpose. And the purpose is our survival. We've been taught that these symptoms mean that we're being attacked by diseases. This is the false matrix programming. This isn't truth. We find the truth in the oneness. When I was able to get back into the oneness, the truth about the cancer I was facing was clearly shown to me. And it was, hey, Lisa, you're not being attacked by some killer disease. Your body is doing exactly what it needs to do to help you survive. Your body is doing exactly what it needs to do, given the circumstances you are providing. I had to change my internal environment and start sending my body better feeling signals. I had to remember the truth of who I am and realize that I'm not obligated to participate in the duality. I don't need to participate in the darkness. I can just be the light. And when I started being the light, my body healed all by itself. No pills, no doctors, no special diets required. And if I can do this, you can do this too. But it takes a shift of consciousness. It takes a willingness to look in a different direction. It takes a willingness to remember the truth of who you actually are. An angel in human form, a grand being of light, a divine, perfect soul who is having an adventure in physical form. Are you ready to up your adventure? Are you ready to create a different adventure in your physical form? Because it's time to bring heaven back to earth. It's time to heal. It is time to stop the fighting, the warring, the disease, the destruction, the disasters. It's time to put an end to that. It's time to be the grand creator beings we are. It's time to create from love. It's time to heal the divisions. It's time to become one humanity. Are you willing to bring yourself back into the oneness? I hope this was helpful to you. If you'd like more information about this, if you'd like to be guided back into the oneness, if you would like to see any of the things that I have to offer, please go to connectingyou2you.com. Check out my website or check out my book. You're already on my YouTube channel if you're watching this. So subscribe to my channel, like my channel, subscribe to share it with others so that they too can hear these messages. If you find them helpful, others will find them helpful as well. So thank you so much for watching. Until next week, create for yourselves a great week because you can. You are a grand creator being. There is nothing wrong with you. There never has been and never will be. When you bring yourself back into the wholeness of who you are and you remember who you are, you too will see that you are a grand being of light. And so it is. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of Connecting You to You Radio. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Are you ready to discover more about how simple healing your body can actually be when you do it from the higher wisdom of your soul? To learn more about what I do and how you can work with me, visit connectingyou2you.com and get on my mailing list to be the first to know about my latest offerings. If you'd like to interact with me on Facebook, please join my group, Soul Sourced Healing. Check the show notes below for these links and more. I hope to see you again next time on Connecting You to You Radio.